morning, everyone, and welcome back to the second session of today. We have a very exciting location. After covering Palawan a while ago, we are now visiting Mindoro with two very special speakers. Mindoro will include Puerto Galera and Apo Reef. So without further ado, I would like to invite our first speaker from El Galleon Beach and Dive Resort. May we welcome Allison Manis. Hello, Allison.
Hi, good morning, everybody, and also good evening to some of you, and I guess good night almost for some of you in the other part of the world. Thank you for listening in today, and I'm going to be talking to you about El Galleon Resort in Puerto Galera. And I'd just first like to show you this quick little video that was done by Beth Watson for us. Okay, so I'm going to go through a slide presentation just to kind of get everybody familiar with El Galleon Resort and Asia Divers. So welcome to El Galleon Asia Divers. We're located in Puerto Galera, in Oriental Mindoro, and we're in the heart of the Verde Island Passage. Next slide, please. We have a 30-room resort. We're located right on the water. We've also got our own dive center, spa, restaurant, and it's just a beautiful place to be spending your holiday. We offer more than just diving. We also day trips, plenty of activities. So we're a great location for families, divers, non-divers. Everybody can enjoy their time here. Next slide. Next slide, please. Oh, good. So there's a view of our dive platform you can see, and where all those lush greenery is, that's our beautiful resort tucked away. We arrange private transfers direct from the airport to get you here. So we'll pick you up at the airport, bring you straight down to the pier. You'll be on the speedboat and direct door to El Galleon Resort. And that whole transfer takes about 1.5 to 2 hours by car, and then another 40 minutes on the speedboat. And the next slide will just show you the map of where we're located. So you can see on Luzon, Manila, and then we drive towards Batangas, and then that's where we get onto the water taxi, and that brings you right over to Puerto Galera. Next slide, please. So we do have our own speedboat. It's called the Mindoro Sprinter. It can hold 22 people plus all your luggages. And we work with other resorts with the speedboat as well. It's very comfortable and very safe, and it's just a great way to get here. Next. So we have 30 rooms, and we have very different room categories, all the way from budget to poolside rooms and to sea view rooms. Our sea view rooms are our most popular rooms. Some of them are a little bit of a walk up the hill, so you really do get an excellent sea view. And these sea view rooms are just a stone's throw away from the water. Next, please. All of our rooms have Wi-Fi. They're all aircon. They all have a room safe. Coffee and tea are in most rooms. They're very comfortable. The sea view rooms are also large enough that we can put in an extra bed if you have a child that you're going to be sharing the room with. Next slide, please. So we're very lucky. We have our own restaurant, and it's part of our resort. And you can see that when you're sitting in our restaurant, you're located right on the water. You have a great view. You can keep an eye on what's going on in the dive shop. We have a very varied menu, local dishes, international, something for everybody, and we can cater to special dietary needs as well. All we need to be told is that you need something special. We have meal packages included. If you want, you can get just either breakfast, or you can get half board, or you can get full board, or you can just order off of our a la carte menu. During these COVID times, we've come up with a menu that you can access through your phone, so you can have contactless menu if you prefer. If you come here and you want an old-fashioned menu in your hand, we can give you that as well. Okay, let's move on to the dive center now. Next slide, please. So our dive center, Asia Divers, is located right on the water. We are the only dive center in Puerto Galera with a private dive platform and pier. So it makes it very easy and accessible to get on and off the boats. Next slide. We have a full dive crew to help you with everything. We have nitrox that we pump out here. We have 5 bunker boats, traditional bunkers, and we also have a speedboat. Our staff are very helpful, carrying your gear out to the boat, bringing everything back. We have a large storage area to store everything. So you really feel like when you're here, you have a lot of space. You're not crowded. Next slide, please. So this is our speedboat, and this is what we quite often use to do day trips to Verde Island. So I guess a lot of you are familiar with Verde Island. It's a spectacular dive site. And using our speedboat to get there, it takes us about 25 minutes to get to Verde Island. So typically what we do is we leave in the morning at 8 o'clock. We go out and do 2 dives, and then you're back at the resort by early afternoon for lunch, and you can dive locally when you get back. Next. Because we have our own pier, it's very easy to get on the boats and get off the boats. There's no walking out through low tide over the rocks, trying to carry all your stuff. It's just very easy and convenient. This kind of gives you a good overview of what the whole dive platform looks like. Next, please. This was a nice shot by Beth Watson, an aerial view of the dive platform. Okay, we'll go on to the next one. So we offer 4 day dives and 1 night dive every day, and we vary the dive sites. People ask, how do you choose them? Well, of course, we base it upon the tides, the currents, experience level of the group, and of course, we really try and talk to our divers and find out what they want to see and what they're interested in doing. So we try to get everybody to many different dive sites while they're here. And of course, they all have their favorites. So we really try to get people back to their favorite dive sites as well. We are now offering blackwater diving as well. So that's something that you can talk to us about while you're here. And we have a technical dive center called Tech Asia that we work with. We're kind of partners with them. So if you're here with a group and you have some people that are tech divers and some recreational, Galleon Resort is perfect for that. Next, please. Okay, so most of the dive sites are only 5 to 10 minutes away by our boats. So this is great that you're not going to be stuck on the boat all day. We do come back to the dive center resort in between dives, so you can come back and have a coffee and relax, hang out with your friends. This seems to work well. Let's say you're traveling with a family, your family, and maybe not everyone in your group dives 4 or 5 times a day, so they can be at the resort and you still get to see them. Next. Okay, so you can see on the map, all the dive sites, all the red ones are all the recreational sites. And then we've got the blue ones for technical diving. And like I said, most of them are really close, only 5 to 10 minutes away by boat. Verde Island is probably our furthest, and that's 25 minutes by speedboat. Okay, we'll go on to the next slide. So Puerto Galera is in the heart of the Coral Triangle. The biodiversity of marine life and corals is really, truly amazing. We have a fantastic mix of macro, lots and lots of fishes, and really beautiful corals, and of course, lots of great critters. You can choose to go on a nice, slow and easy photo type of dive, or some people like the thrill of a good drift dive. We can offer it all. Like I said, Verde Island is spectacular dive site. It's just stunningly beautiful. So it's a must do on your trip to Puerto Galera. Next. Just look at the corals there and all the fish. We really are lucky here that, you know, even in the past several months, it's been quite quiet in Puerto Galera. There hasn't been a lot of divers around, especially, of course, during the lockdown, we couldn't dive at all, but now there are some dive centers up and running, and going out and seeing that the reef is healthier than ever and there's still lots of fish, we feel really happy about that. Okay, we'll go on to the next slide. This is just a nice shot that Beth Watson took for us of Almagene Wreck. Almagene Wreck is right off of our pier. It's almost like on our house reef. It's a great dive, not because it's a wreck dive, but it's what's on, in, and around the wreck. There's always a school of these batfishes around there. You can see pipe fishes, puffer fishes, lion fishes. So great dive site that's less than 30 seconds away from our dive center. Okay, we'll go to the next slide. So we get a lot of photographers come here from all over the world, very interested in taking pictures of all the macro life that we have. One of our dive sites is Sinandigan Wall, and they call that nudibranch city just because of the many, many different types of nudibranchs that you can see in one dive site. And what I've noticed over the years is those types of nudibranchs, they're seasonal, so you'll see different nudies at different times of the year. So that makes it very interesting. We've also got good macro like frogfishes, pipefishes, seahorses, octopus, turtles. You know, everything is here. You just have to find it, and great for taking pictures. But Puerto Galera is not just about the macro. It's really, there's just so much more to it. It's the beautiful corals, the lots and lots of fish. So it's not, you don't just say, okay, go to Puerto Galera for the macro. No. It's a variety of everything. Okay, next one. So Asia Divers is a PADI career development center, and we've been teaching here for more than 33 years. We teach right from bubble makers up to instructor level professional courses. We have 2 course directors on site, and you'll find that many of the instructors who live and work here in Puerto Galera have done their training through Asia Divers. So if you're thinking of becoming a dive pro, we're the perfect place to do it. If you have a school group that you want to bring here, we've done lots of school group trips for teaching kids. So just contact us and let us know. Okay, we'll go on to the next one. Okay, so that shows that we have our swimming pool area where we can conduct all our confined water training. And then we have House Reef where we can go right off of our shore to be doing training dives. And then of course we do our boat dives just very closely. Galleon also has our own spa, and we offer massages, great for at the end of the day. Manicures, pedicures, many different other services that are offered, and you can choose to have them done in the spa, or some people want to have the massage in their room, and they're all done by our professional therapists on site. Okay, next slide. So this is our famous point bar, and it's where a lot of us who work here, live here, hang out in the evening over a beer or 2 or soda water, depending what you like. And it's a great place just to get together with all of our divers and friends, talking about diving, planning out what we're going to be doing tomorrow. It's very social, very fun. We have a happy hour for cocktails. There's always somebody ringing the bell and buying rounds. So it just creates a really nice, fun atmosphere. Okay, next slide. So I hope that this has given you a quick overview of Galleon and Asia divers. And I hope that if you have any questions, you can just contact me directly and I'll help answer any questions. And I really hope that we get to see international tourists here again soon. We've been open for local and domestic tourism now for several months. We're getting a lot of people coming here from Manila, and there's some requirements, but I just try to make it, we try to make it as easy and smooth as possible for people to get here. And we just have to keep hoping that it gets even easier. So thank you very much for listening to me today. And I'm going to put you back over to Vanessa.
Thank you so much for sharing and presenting, Allison. Definitely, we have a few questions coming in, but again, let me remind everyone that our Q&A is after the presentation. So if you have any questions, you can type it up in the chat or save it for later. Now, before we move on to the Q&A, we have another special speaker from a different side of Mindoro itself. May we welcome the owner and general manager of Apo Reef Club, Michael Roos.
Hi, Vanessa.
Hello.
Hi, Allison, and how the rest of the world. I will do a presentation from our resort and our main dive destination, Apo Reef Natural Park. So I get to the presentation. Give me a second. Should be okay. Here we go. Ready, I guess. I hope internet will be stable like the last few hours. So first, diving. A few years back, I realized because of our campaigning all over the world that we cannot sell only our destination, because most of the international tourists will come to the Philippines for 2 to 3 weeks. And we're looking some good dive partners around us. And I realized that the Luzon part have one of the best diving in the Philippines. We have one of the best wreck diving in the world with Coron, just next to Mindoro. Then with Anilao and Puerto Galera, definitely one of the best macro diving in the Philippines. And with Apo Reef in the center of all these destinations, one of the best pelagic diving. That's why I came up with this Luzon top diving, and we work very well together with other resorts, also El Galleon, like before, that people and travel agent book 1 or 2 weeks. So 1 week in Anilao or Puerto, then they come over to us, and then they go to Coron, and from Coron they go home. And have in 1 or 2 weeks just seen everything what you want to see in the diving, from the macro to the pelagic to the wreck diving. As you see on the map, Mindoro is really in the center, in the northern part. We have one airport. You can fly in direct from Manila to San Jose, Occidental Mindoro. From the airport to the resort, it's around 50 kilometers. That's with the car around 45 minutes. And then we're already in the resort. If you see Apo Reef National Park, it's out in the ocean. I will explain more about this on the next slide. So now Apo Reef Club Beach and Dive Resort is since 14 years this coming June. I started with this little beauty in the jungle, I always call it, because we have no neighbors. We have really a peaceful, quiet, small beauty. The resort is located on a 5 hectares property. We have only 17 rooms, so you can imagine every room have his privacy and nobody bothers you. And that makes the resort very famous. We have a lot of guests coming yearly back because they really enjoy the beauty and the quiet location with a nice international standard. The good thing is also we facing the west coast, so every night we have to show you a beautiful sunset. So next slide. Our main product is definitely Apo Reef National Park. Apo Reef National Park is the second largest single coral reef in the world. You see here the map left from north to south, that's 10 kilometers. From east to west, it's also 10 kilometers. Most of the reef is underwater except 3 islands. You see that the main island here with the lighthouse, that is Apo Island, not the Apo Island in Dumaguete, not to be confused. And this is the biggest island, and then there's 2 small islands within the reef. There's plenty of dive sites around Apo Reef, between 15 and 20, and still we discover new dive sites which have surprising dives. But I have to say the really top best dive sites is around the main island, because if you see on that pictures, around that island, it's a wall. So the reef top is around 5 to 10 meters, and then it goes down straight. Down in the blue, in the deep, to 60 to 80, 90, 100 meters. And that's what Apo makes so famous. Visibility we have during the top months up to 60 meters. So you can snorkel on top and look down and see the sharks down to 40, 50 meters. Yeah. So that makes Apo also really famous. Now, what you can see in Apo Reef, what it makes it special to most of the other dive sites around the Philippines, except Tubata is famous for the same, for the big stuff. Yes, you can see nudibranch in Apo Reef, but people is not coming to us to see nudibranch, because if you look to the nudibranch, maybe you miss the hammerhead behind you. So I always tell to the people, look in the blue, don't look to the nudibranch. You can see that in plenty of other destinations around the country. So Apo is really famous for big pelagics. And Vanessa told that already in the presentation before. I heard with the dugongs in Coron, pelagics are not stable on one place. That is big marine life, and they're roaming around. So sometimes the people ask me what time we can see the hammerhead. That is quite difficult because the hammerhead is roaming around. They're around the reef, that's for sure. And I think I can say I'm one of the few people diving since 15 years now in Apo. Some fish I know already their name. And I know some location I can almost guarantee if the condition, and that's very important with the big pelagics. Condition means current, daytime is very important for the big pelagics. So if the conditions are good, I know places you can see everything on one dive spot. We started with the little ones, everybody love it, the turtles. They're all around, every dive you see turtles. White tip sharks, you see every dive. Pumpheads, they have their time. They are mostly in the morning and in the evening on a few places. Then what kind of other sharks we can see at Apo Reef? It's the gray reef sharks. And the last years, more and more hammerhead sharks. The last years, almost every trip in the 2 days, we see the hammerhead sharks. I don't know why they coming now more compared to years before, but it's true. From the race side, we have manta rays, you can see. Eagle rays are around, and normal marble rays are also always living in Apo Reef. Barracudas, of course, they're always there. I always know where they're hanging. Of course, a lot of schools of small and bigger fish like talajitos, jack fishes are also around. So it's really amazing in this close place, the difference and the variety of big marine life. You can only see that in the Philippines, in Tubata. No other place in the Philippines you can have this. And of course, like I mentioned before, visibility is one of the famous things in Apo. People are always amazed when they jump in the water and look down to 50, 60 meters. Makes it also easier to spot the big stuff. Yeah, short back to the Apo Reef, like I mentioned, it's 50 kilometers away from our resort. So we're not doing day trips because that is too far. And if you do a day trip, you can maybe only do 2 to 3 dives. In these 2 to 3 dives, you have definitely not the chance to see all this potential of the reef. So we're offering 2 days or sometimes 3 days trips. Our boats, I will explain later, they have sleeping decks, kitchen, everything on board. So we sleep on our boat and just dive for 2 to 3 days. And guarantee in these 2 to 3 days, you can see almost all the animals I told you. So now we go back short to the resort. Like I mentioned, we have 12 aircon rooms, total of 3 beachfront bungalows. All the rooms have the same standard. They're all with aircon, fan, mini bar, hot and cold shower, and the safe box. The difference is only the size of the rooms, like the beachfront bungalow of the beach, watching out to the sunset. We tried in our buildings to have the international standard, so the bungalows are all cemented, but with the touch of the Philippine culture. You see the furnitures and the beds are mostly made with bamboo. So you still feel the Philippine culture. Next is the beachfront room. That's a big unit with 3 different rooms. Again, same facilities, aircon, fan, hot shower, minibar, safety box. Just the size is a little bit different, and it's not a single bungalow. It's one unit with 3 different rooms. It's good for groups, so they are all together, but everybody have his separate rooms. Then we have the garden bungalow. They're at the back between the beachfront bungalow, but in the garden, they still have the sea view, not direct like the beachfront. And that's a unit with 2 rooms. Same standard again, aircon, hot shower, minibar, and safety box. Then a few years back, we had a lot of backpackers traveling around Mindoro, and they don't want to spend the expenses in the accommodation. They want to spend their money with the diving. So we built up a simple backpacker unit with no aircon, only fan and a shower. So now I come to our boats. I have 2 big, I call that mini liveaboard. Typical banca style, just a little bit bigger. This is our Apo One, good for maximum 10 people. The boat is equipped with a kitchen, restaurant, mini restaurant, toilet and shower. We have fresh water on board, of course. And then on top, we have a simple sleeping deck. It's not luxury cabins, but it's not open air, but normally at night we put up the tarpaulins and you can watch the stars during the time you sleep. And in my 14 years now, nobody really complain about the sleeping place, because after 4 dives a day, you're so tired, you're so sleepy, you don't even hear if somebody's snoring beside you. And if ever, that guy can go down in the restaurant and sleep there. So simple, and people always enjoy. We have also a net on the outrigger on the side. So during the rest place between the dives, you can hang in the net like a hammock, and then you rest. And or at night, some people even sleep there, watch the stars. So perfect. In the front, you see we have the dive shop. Simple as that. You get your equipment, you have your box, and just jump in. Of course, we have a compressor on board to fill tanks. No nitrox, just normal air. So next slide is the Apo 3. That's the bigger boat. The same setup, just everything a little bit bigger. Good for maximum 15 people. So the only difference is this boat have 2 toilets and 2 showers to just make it that not long waiting time for the dives. So now short to the diving, around 2 to 2.5 hours to the first dive site. And then normally we offer 4 dives on the first day and 4 dives maximum on the second day. So total in the 2-day trip, you can make up to 8 dives, what is definitely enough to see the potential of the reef. Back shot to the resort again. Of course, in the resort, we have the normal standard. We have a dive shop with complete setup of rental equipment. We have also a small classroom. We offer any courses up to dive master. What else? The camera room, you can see, yes, of course, that the guests have the camera room. So standard now. The resort, like I mentioned before, is definitely famous for their peace and quiet. You see the picture at night, watching the sunset with the swimming pool we have. The swimming pool is also 4 meters deep on one side, good for the open water classes. Then we have a really nice, relaxing lounge. You can hang around, watching the sunset, having any cocktails, playing some pool. Then in front of the beach, we have the boat bar, we call it. That's normally the people sitting after the dives, watching the sunset. And the resort is equipped with the restaurant, of course. We offer in our accommodation breakfast and dinner buffet included. So only lunch is by orders, because most of the time people are out for diving, and then they will have lunch normally on the boat. So dinner and breakfast is included on the meals. So what else we offer around the diving? Mindoro is, I always call it, still a hidden paradise. There's so many undiscovered places. We start in the 13 years to discover a few. We have a lot of rivers with pools. We're making tours up to the mountain. There is another national park, the Mount Iglit National Park, famous because of the tamaraws, the only wild buffalo found in the world here in Mindoro, and 10 or 12 native tribes we have in the mountain. I'm very close to the tribal leader, so we're allowed to make tours to the tribes up to show our tourists what is the real Filipino. Few years back, we discovered this Purnaga cave that's close around the resort. At the moment, it's closed from the DNR for inspections. We hopefully soon they will open again, because it's amazing. We start to discover a few times, but we're not yet done because it's so big. And yeah, back again, the Manyan heritage is something we really work close with them, and we try to explain them that they please keep their culture, because yes, the modern world is going closer to the mountains, and that will be sad, because it's really culture still up in the mountains. So when you go up to the top, what you can experience, it's amazing. Yeah, I think I'm done with the presentation. Here you can see again the map from the Philippines, where is Apo Reef Club and Mindoro located. Like I mentioned, in the center of the northern part, beside is Coron. In the north part is Anilao and Puerto Galera. Then we have Boracay, you can access also easy. Yes, I think that's all at the moment. I still have the video, but that's I give back to start because of maybe the internet 2 minutes short. Ready the video now, please. Beautiful sunset. Our restaurant, open air, dinner place. And you see the bungalows is really between the trees. I not got any trees. It's not built. Back to Apo. Okay, I think that's so far all about the resort and Apo Reef. If there's some question, back
That
to
is
Vanessa.
beautiful. Yeah, thank you, Michael. It was beautiful, and you, as you all know, we've all been trying to visit there, and hopefully, it will open soon. So actually, we have a few questions for both of you. Perhaps we can start with Allison, then Michael can answer after. Do you have cave diving within 40 meters there? And if so, do you provide guides for this? Thank you. Allison, maybe you can take the question.
Yep. We don't have cave diving here. We do have technical diving, and we do a lot of training for technical diving because we work hand in hand with Tech Asia. But there's no real cave diving.
Okay. But you offer training, right, for tech diving?
Yeah, we do a lot of tech training here in Puerto Galera.
Okay.
Deep reefs, going over to the deeper parts on Verde Island. Tech Asia's been handling all the tech training in Puerto Galera for many, many years. Not all, but a lot of it.
Okay. How about you, Michael?
No, we have no cave diving. We don't have any caves around. And tech diving we not offer.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for that. We have a question. Could you share your PowerPoint file, especially of Apo Reef Club? The guests are asking.
Yeah, sure.
Perhaps for the guests, if you could type in your email address, or if Michael can type his email address in the chat box, just so that the guests know how and where to reach. And also you, Allison, for those who want to reach you for El Galleon and Puerto Guelera, they can reach you through your email address. Okay, that is the next question. Now, let's move on to some things I just want to confirm with everyone. So again, Allison said that Puerto Guelera has been open and was actually one of the first establishments open for diving last year. Now, I just want to run through again to kind of promote to the domestic market on how does one again reach El Galleon, let's say from Manila.
Okay, so it's actually quite easy now. People will contact us that they want to book, and then we basically help them with everything. We can give them the advice. They do need to have a swab test. We know several locations in Manila where you can get them done for a good price, and the swab test needs to have a 24-hour validity. So we work with a couple of test centers where you go in there, you have your test, you wait 1 hour, you get your result. The guest will take a picture of it along with the receipt, send it to me, and then I look after their registration. So all of that can be done as they're driving down to the port. They get to the port, they've already got their confirmed registration completed, they hop on the water taxi, and then they come here. So it's really very easy now to get here.
Okay. Other locations have requirements on minimum stay or maximum stay of days. With Puerto Guelera, I just want to confirm that there is none, right? You can control.
No.
That is perfect.
Yeah, we get people coming in for weekends.
That's actually very convenient. Especially for a little bit of long weekends, if there's holidays that are happening, or if they can opt to work from Puerto Guelera instead of.
We are offering, many people over the past few months have been doing staycation, where they're staying here, working from here, because we have a pretty good Wi-Fi connection. So a lot of people are just staying here longer time and working, diving, and then just enjoying the fresh air, just getting out of the city and being on the beach.
That is amazing. So just one more question on this. Do you have a specific time wherein the water taxis cross? You mentioned that they may have been limiting the boats crossing over to Puerto Guelera.
Yeah, so the water taxis are not allowed to cross in the dark, basically. So we can pick someone up at 6:30 in the morning and get them over here. So they'll be here. If you're picked up at 6:30 in the morning, you're going to be here by 7:15 at the latest, right? In AM. And then going back, we need to have them on the boat by 5 p.m. Usually that's pretty much the latest that we can go right now. Hopefully in time again, we can start. Right now, we can't do crossings at nighttime, but that wasn't because of COVID. That was other rules that came into effect. But who knows, in the future, maybe we can do night crossings again. And you know what, when things are back up and running, of course, when it's normal times, there's also the Ro-Ro to Calapan, which does run 24 hours.
Okay.
So in back to normal times, when people can go on the Ro-Ro, then it is possible to get here in the nighttime.
Okay, that is perfect. So everyone, if you have any more questions or stay updated, you can contact Allison or follow her pages. Now, Michael, it's up to you now. I know that it was mentioned that Apo Reef Club and your area and Apo Reef is not yet open, but where can all our viewers and the domestic market stay tuned to see your updates on how to get there when it is open?
Of course, on our Facebook page, Apo Reef Club, we will always update. Like I mentioned before, we're fighting really hard with the support of DOT, but it's really LGU level now. We had last meeting December. They promised us the next 2 to 3 months. We're pushing and pushing because we are a dive market. We are open now for the local market here on the island, but I think on our province, I have 2 or 3 divers with license. So it's quite hard, no? So we really need the province to be open, that we can have guests even from Manila, because a lot of our regular Manila guests are waiting.
Yes, actually, let's say hopefully you guys get open in the summer, and if you do, could you tell us, kind of similar like what Allison did, how step by step does one person get from Manila to your location?
Okay, there's two ways. The easiest way, I always said, it's you go to the airport in Manila, book Cebu Pacific, and fly straight down to San Jose, Occidental Mindoro. That is important, because there's another San Jose, and you maybe get on the wrong place. So San Jose, Occidental Mindoro, that's the airport where we pick up the guest to the resort. Like I said, that's 45 minutes drive, and then you're already in the resort. The good thing is with that flights, the flights are in the morning. So you have to wake up early, but you have already breakfast in the resort. So you don't lose a day with travel. The other way, what a lot of guests from Manila are doing, and they realize now with the condition of the ferries and the road, it's quite easy to go by land and ferry to Mindoro. So you travel from Manila down to Batangas, to the port, catch one of the ferries going not to Calapan, going to Abra de Ilog. Abra de Ilog, that's the port on Occidental Mindoro side. They're normally running every 2 to 3 hours is a ferry, so that's easy also. And then from there, you drive down to the resort. That's around 120 kilometers. That's around 2, maximum 3 hours. And then you're also in the resort. So if you have good condition, I can do resort to Manila in around 6 to 7 hours, included the ferry and waiting time. So it's not too bad.
Not bad, especially if you're open to do a little bit of a road trip, enjoy the
Yeah,
view.
it's beautiful, right?
Yeah. Okay. Some of the questions that we usually get is, are there specific peak seasons or perfect times to visit each of your locations? Maybe we can start with Allison.
Mm-hmm. So we are a year-round resort. We're open all year. We get people coming here all year. Weather-wise, I would say probably from February up until mid-June. But even our rainy season, quote, typhoon season, seems to have moved later on in the year now. I mean, this past year, July and August was just gorgeous, and nobody here. So it's just hard to say. I mean, the only time where we might have to shut down for half a day or a day is if there's a typhoon in the area. Otherwise, we are diving every day.
That's great. That's great. We also heard from our discussions yesterday in Central Visayas, the local guides and tourists, they said that for Darwin, there are specific octopus seasons or, nudibranch frogfish seasons. Do you have any like that you've noticed in your area?
Yeah, I tend to find that the start of, if you're really a serious photographer and you're really into the critters, I tend to find that from sort of mid-February up until mid-May, you start to see more of that sort of life. But we see nudibranchs here all year, and they change, the species change throughout the year. So there is mackerel all year, but I also find things like the ghost pipefishes start to come out more just as the water temperature is changing from the colder to a degree or two warmer. You start to see more of that.
Okay, that's interesting. Thank you. So, Michael, now it's up to you. In regards to the weather and critters, what do you have to say?
Okay, weather is a little bit special with us because we are on the Habagat side. That's the typhoon season. Normally June, July, August, like Allison said, but the last year was July, fantastic, flat sea, best condition. But we take out our boats. We take out our boats normally in June for maintenance and for safety also. So Apo Reef Club normally close July, August, September because of the weather condition. Because if there's big waves, our boats are not safe and conditions are not good to going to Apo. So back to what you can see, the big stuff is there all year around. If I look back in my 13 years or 14 years Apo, hammerheads we had years back only November, December, January, when the weather was really cold. But even the big stuff start changing. I think the last hammerhead we had on a safety stop, 30 degrees water temperature at 5 meters.
Wow.
So it's not like before you have to go deep, it's cold. No, they're also changing, and we see all year round the big stuff. The visibility is definitely better in the first part of the season. That's October until Feb. That's when the water is a little bit colder. The visibility is much, much better than March, April, May. What means better? I mean, we still have visibility on April 20 to 30 meters, but the really 50, 60 you have at the beginning of the season.
That's amazing. Okay, so again, guys, just to recap really quickly, if you guys have any questions, feel free to type it up. But I must highlight that we spoke about two very special places here in the Philippines, Allison and Puerto Galera, who is very close to Verde Island. I'm sure a lot of us divers have visited that place. And after the lockdown and quarantine, I'm sure all of us are very curious to see what has been there and what is waiting for us. And then with Michael and Apo Reef Club and Apo Reef, I mean, that speaks for itself as well. So hopefully we all get to visit. Right now, the domestic market for Puerto Galera and the local market for Michael, but hopefully soon, Michael, the domestic market like us can come visit as well. And maybe at the end of this year, we can see more international travelers. Just, stay tuned on how the protocols will be and, see our friends again. Before we end, we have actually a few more minutes left, but for Michael, we have a question. Aren't your boats affected by the ordinance of wooden hulled outriggers?
That's a good question, because that is an issue I think started a few months ago. Then there was a petition started from somebody in the Visayas, and we all signed it up. Our dive industry in the Philippines, we really help each other, and that's really nice. Of course, we know each other all from the dive shows, and we try to work and fight together for the good of the dive industry here in the country. And that is a big issue and a big problem for I think most of us. And the latest news I heard is that in the Visayas, in one of the region, that new rules is now cancelled. So the question from us here in the north, if this is all national-wide, or is it typical like always, LGUs or region doing again what they want? And we question also DOT to help us in that situation, because panca boats is part of the Philippine culture. It's like you remove the chipneys, something is missing. And to be honest, that rules they're coming up, it's not because of accident from the private sector. The most accident happen is just because the ferries are always overloaded. And I think that should be easy to manage, but I never heard any accident of any dive boats. So we really hope the support of the DOT to keep this, because if not, that will be the next, after the pandemics, we will have the big issues. Yes.
Yes. I think I completely agree with you. And for updates like this, stay tuned and follow the social media accounts, or, stay tuned, keep in touch, use the email addresses to reach both of our speakers right now. And also I could see that a lot of people here are also, focus or care about these issues like the outrigger boats, the wooden boats. So if you guys want to sign petitions and help the local dive industry, I think all of us, divers, dive professionals, dive establishments, and of course the guests, all are on the same page that, tourism is very good for the country and for everyone. And we really hope to work together, especially with the government. And, initiatives like this really help. So thank you, everyone. If you don't have any more questions, I would just like to remind you that we have another talk later at 1 p.m. We will be talking about Southern Leyte. So we hope to see you there, and don't forget to get in touch with our two speakers. I'd like to thank both of you for joining us today. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank
Vanessa.
you, Vanessa.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye, Allison.
Yeah,
Thanks,
nice to see you, Michael, Vanessa.
Hope to see you both soon in person.
yeah, I hope to see everyone in person here again.
Yeah, I hope so. Okay, thank you, everyone. Okay, bye.
Okay, take care.